the $1 Million Mortgage Experience podcast. Welcome to today's episode. We are here with Bryce and Brant Aberg. They are Vice Chairmen at Cushman Wakefield. Brant oversees institutional leasing throughout San Diego County for over 20 million square feet. And Bryce here co-leads the West Coast capital markets for Cushman Wakefield. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, man.
It's cool.
Excited.
Yes, pumped up.
Fired up.
You guys are an inspiration for me because I see how much energy you have and how much success you've had in sales and in the fields that you guys are in. So thanks for coming on, and I'll pick your brain about some cool stuff that we can share with the listeners.
Sounds good.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So I don't know. Who wants to start off? How'd you guys get into commercial real estate? I think since you're older, Bryce, I imagine you got into it first.
I did get into it first. Yeah, so I went to the University of San Diego, graduated in 99, and I kind of jumped around for about a year or so, not really knowing what I wanted to do. And a bunch of my buddies from USD were going into commercial real estate, and they said, Bryce, you need to try this. You should, I think you'd be great at it. So about a year of kind of moving around, I decided to do it, and that was in 2000. And I was up in Orange County, worked there for about 3 years, and then I moved back down to San Diego in 2003, and I've been at the same firm for the last 23 years now.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, 22 years.
And then you roped your brother into it.
And then I roped my little brother into it, yeah. So, yeah, Brant interned for us for a couple of years and then started working with us. But he can tell the story.
Yeah, I thought you were a better brother, but I didn't have a chance to figure out what I really liked or any other opportunities. I was interning because I wanted to start building a resume in college. That was my sophomore year in 2004, and interned for the same company all through. And 18 years of partnership later, we're still sitting here.
That's awesome.
Barely.
A couple scars, a couple bruises.
A lot of scars, a lot of bruises.
Nice.
But we're still here.
That's awesome, man. So you guys kind of work as a team, right? With a bunch of others as well, like on your team.
We do. So, yeah. So our team is, I think we have 12 on our team in San Diego. We have another 10 or so up in Orange County. Brant oversees all of our leasing. So we definitely have silos in terms of what we do. I represent all sales throughout the West Coast, and then Brant focuses primarily on San Diego and leasing. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
So you were I would say, I don't know if it's true, but pro surfer at some point, or like at least sponsored?
I was, yeah. So I had a dream to be a pro surfer when I was ever since I was a little kid. Mm-hmm. So I decided to go that route. So I didn't go to college until I was 22, 23. So I was trying to do the world circuit for about 3 years, realized that I wasn't good enough to make it at that level. So I had an opportunity to go to college, and I decided to be the oldest rushing in a fraternity at the age 23.
That's cool.
It was actually pretty humbling.
Kind of like Van Wilder.
Yes. It took me 8 years to graduate.
Oh, well, you made it through, and that's good. So that probably taught you some grit and some tenacity.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you learn a lot when when you don't have a lot of money and you have to just make things work. So, just kind of like when you start in sales and start at any kind of business, you got to really dig in and, dig in deep and find where you can make opportunities. So that's what I had to do. And I learned those skills at a young age. So
yeah, definitely that's why I brought it up, because, to be successful in commercial real estate, you got to give it 110% or whatever they like to say. I mean, 100% is really the max you can actually do. But, somehow you squeeze in more, and you did that with surfing. And then, how does that relate to talk about how your success, kind of your mentality about success? Is it, I know you go, but talk a little bit about your.
Yeah. So, I mean, our team is really big on planning. So we put a lot of thought into everything that we do in terms of business planning on an annual basis, and then do checkups on a quarterly basis. But, really it just comes down to grit, and it comes down to accountability. Mm-hmm. I think with any business, you got to put your head down and just work as hard as you can, especially in the first, 10 years of your career, whatever you're doing. Just give it your all and nothing else. You're obsessed with it. You have to, think about it all the time. That's all you're doing on a day-to-day basis. On the weekends, you don't have any time off. You're just focused on work, and that's what it takes to be at the top of your game within whatever field you're in.
Yeah. And how is competition play into that with both of you guys? Because I know you're on the same team, but I know you're competitive as well. Like, is your leasing side like competing against theirs at all, like revenue wise?
Perfect timing for this conversation.
Absolutely. I mean, no matter what, you're always, driven and you want to succeed, even if it's partners and you're playing for the team and everybody's, theoretically winning.
Right.
There's always outliers. There's always the best players on the team, or, hopefully there's two best players. In our case, it's for partners.
Yeah.
But you're always trying to push and challenge each other. And, I know for myself, and I'm sure for Bryce secretly, you're always trying to figure out how you one up the guy next to you.
Right. Yeah. They'll put more points on the board and all that.
There's definitely internal competition throughout, even with our younger guys, we do, cold call challenges where, you compete throughout the whole team who can make the most calls in a week or whatever the case is. And just try to make it fun, but also, have a reason behind it and, make sure that we're all going towards the same goal.
Yeah. Let's talk about right now, like in this economy where it's middle of May, 2024, rates are shit. I know that affects you guys too.
Yeah.
What's going on in commercial real estate in San Diego and Southern California? And just, you can even do broader than that if you want. But
I will say, just from my business, so we cover a big geographical area. So we're from Seattle down to San Diego, out to Salt Lake City. And I primarily focus in the Pacific Northwest. So I'm in Seattle, Portland once a month, whether I like it or not. And
it's hard to leave San Diego.
Yeah, just San Diego's a small marketplace. So you have to really, broaden your scope of kind of horizon of what you're looking for just to be able to make a decent living.
Right.
So I will say, fall or spring of 2022 is when kind of the carpet got pulled out underneath us when rates kind of went through the roof. And there was definitely a quiet period for that whole summer. Mm-hmm. And then I think, rates kind of started to stabilize a little bit in, going in the fourth quarter of 22. And then they were bouncing around for all of 23. So there was a lot of uncertainty. So there was a lot of groups that were technically on the sidelines, not really understanding kind of where, rates are going to be or where they're going to land, understanding kind of how to underwrite deals, how to put exit caps or, exits on valuations, looking at rent growth, understanding how that kind of affects everything. But I will say as of January 1st, I feel like the lights are definitely back on. Investors are definitely, they can't sit on the sidelines anymore. Yeah. They want to get their money out. They want to buy, commercial real estate. And thank God that we got into industrial real estate 20 years ago, because it is definitely the pretty girl to dance now.
Yeah.
Through all the product types throughout commercial real estate, you got office, retail, multifamily, and industrial. And
why is industrial better?
Industrial is just kind of the future now. I mean, industrial, if you think about it, industrial is technically creative office. Industrial is retail.
Yep.
Industrial is industrial, of course. The only thing
it's not is CrossFit centers in there. You can put wellness centers into industrial, right?
Exactly.
Is that what's happening? Is it just
it was really driven by last mile, with Amazon really being the front leader of that. So, COVID definitely, pushed that, process much faster. I mean, it was going to happen no matter what. But I think when COVID hit, last mile, same day delivery, Amazon was kind of leading that charge, and the market went nuts in 20 and 21.
Yeah.
And that was all primarily industrial, whether it be your, local service industrial distribution centers or your big, your big box distribution centers throughout the world.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What about leasing?
Yeah. I mean, on the heels of what Bryce was saying during COVID, industrial was already on the path. Retail is kind of slowly dying out. Big box retail you see in shopping centers.
Yeah, it's like, why go to the mall? Like, who goes to the mall?
I mean,
now people do, but
only time you go anywhere if it's an experience, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's Class A office space that's fully amenitized, or if it's the retail experience. Most places you can't actually buy and walk out with anything because it's all coming from warehouses and distribution facilities. Right. But everybody wants their product today or by tomorrow, and the only way to do it is through e-commerce.
Yeah.
So fortunately for us, and to Bryce's point, 20 years ago, we just had the fortitude and be able to predict in the future of looking at where the world was going. But actually, it was just kind of a luck of the draw. But talking about just leasing overall, that word grit and perseverance has been talked about a lot.
Yeah.
Those are actually two of the slogans for our team.
Nice. I
mean, if you're going to be in sales, especially, and you're going to do it well, you have to have those two elements. I mean, you're constantly getting kicked and pushed down, or the 11th hour, everything changes and goes to shit, and so you have to figure out how to kind of dust yourself off, because usually one of those failed processes will be an opportunity tomorrow.
Exactly. And what would you say if someone doesn't have that naturally? Because not everyone does. I mean, thankfully, I know you guys probably got it through, how you were raised, or just through going through hard shit in your life. What does someone do if they really man, I need to get some more perseverance. I need to get some more grit. What's your advice?
That's a hard thing to teach.
Yeah.
I mean, we found in the long years of building a lot of teams and managing different personalities. I mean, it's kind of one of those things you either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
I mean, because it comes with a lot of just ability to keep picking yourself up and continuing to press forward and run through walls.
Yeah.
And it's something that you'd have to really set your, sights on and be focused on and understand the type of hard work you're going to take to get there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, your thoughts, I don't know if it's something you can really teach.
I think, again, accountability is really a big part of the grit. I think grit, you either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
I think you're born with it. It's in your DNA. So that can transfer into anything in terms of, you put your head down, whatever you want to accomplish. If you have that grit, I don't think you can really learn grit. I think you're born with it. I think you can learn accountability. You can learn process. You can learn business planning. That's the stuff that, we spend a lot of time on. But in terms of grit, I think you have it or you don't. And that's just kind of the way the world works.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's people born with it, and I think there's people who struggle to get it, through their life, right? Like you've had shitty circumstances, or you've been through hard things, and you've just overcome them throughout, over your, whatever that may be, right? Yeah. But I agree with you. It's something you can't really teach in like a classroom or school.
Right.
You can't go to university of whatever and learn grit. It's like
University of Grit. That'd be good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's what we're sitting right here.
We just beat people. People get kicked down. Remember that scene in Fight Club where they're like, they're all waiting at the front of the house, the front door, and he comes out and he's like, "What are you doing here? Get out of here!"
Yeah.
And the guy stays, right? And that's kind of like, that's what it'd have to be if you wanted to teach grit, I guess. Yeah. So the economies, we're turning. We're, like I said, we're in May of 24. You're seeing people. Why do you think it's now that people are coming back into the market? Is it like you said, they just were sitting on the sidelines too long and they're like, screw this, I need to jump back in? Or is it like, do you think maybe the election coming up is some optimism? Like where is it coming from? I
think from my side of the business, I think it comes down to there is a little bit of stability now. We know that rates, for instance, our rates are all based off the 5 or 10 year Treasury index. So it seems like those are starting to be a little more consistent. We know we're not going to go through the roof, it seems like anyways.
Like inflation's tamed a little bit.
Inflation's tamed, and I think that overall investors, again, they need to get the money out the door, and where do they want to spend it? It's either going to be industrial or multifamily these days. And, thank God we're on that receiving end of the industrial side. But I think just it all comes down to consistency, a little bit of stability, and really being able to really underwrite deals now. I mean, that's, from my side of the business. I don't know, Brant, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, on the leasing side for the national global occupiers, they tried to delay and kind of kick the can as long as they could.
Is it like Amazons of the world?
Yes, I mean, the Amazons of the world, but everybody else, everybody loves to speak about Amazon because they're the biggest naturally.
Right.
But there's a lot in their wake that are sizable companies that are really helping to turn the gears for our country.
That's good.
That, absolutely. That are really helping to, move things forward. The last couple of years, it seems like they've just been incrementally kind of moving things forward or sitting tight if they're able to. But there's a lot of leases expiring where decisions have to get made. There's a lot of capital that they've been waiting to deploy. Yeah. But from the national calls that we have, companies are ready to start moving forward and starting to grow and expand again.
That's good.
Some of the biggest indicators from groups like Amazon that are back in the market and building large, million plus square foot facilities across the country. Wow. So typically what happens is a lot of the other competitors and similar companies start to follow suit with them.
Well, the key too is that Amazon is definitely back in the market. I mean,
absolutely.
They've signed 3 million square feet in Southern California, another 3 million square feet in Phoenix, and another 3 on the East Coast.
There's a ton in Nashville too.
There's a ton throughout the country. But I mean, in terms of new requirements, these are within the last 6 months, and it seems like they're definitely the front leader, and then all the other groups, the DHLs, the XPOs, any kind of third party logistic kind of follow suit. So hopefully that's a trend that's going to continue.
All those boxes are coming to my house, I think, or your. One of our houses.
The three of us are definitely heavily contributed to that.
You can sort of see what's happening in the market when you see all the boxes starting to come.
Just start to stack up.
Just come to my house on a Wednesday, Thursday. It's nuts. I can't open the front door sometimes. It's
so bad.
But that's part of the shift too, right? I mean, it's not just consumer products where your significant other's getting a new whatever it is. It's your groceries. Yeah, it's your dog food. It's all the most simplistic things on top of maybe some of those consumer products for the want side of the list as well.
Yeah, it's a weird time that we're in. I mean, like I've been ordering Uber Eats the last couple of days. I'm just like, $35 for a burrito? Like,
it's crazy.
Really? Because I always do the faster priority, right? I don't want it to come cold.
You get hungry.
And then I feel like, okay, if I don't tip this guy 20%, then he's gonna fuck it up, so like give the higher tip. And then I'm like, I end up with a $36 burrito I would have paid $8 for at the place. And I'm like, this is just wrong. I feel
that's
so
just,
bad
I mean, just
about it.
everything is just a lot more expensive these days. Everything is.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it be food, whether it be, anything that we consume, gas, obviously. I mean, just everything is more expensive. So I just read that San Diego is the most expensive city in the country to live right now.
Yeah. Based on like income
number
and
one.
Yeah.
Percentage to income ratio.
Yeah.
Number one for a couple things, but that's not one thing you don't want to be number one for.
No.
Unfortunately.
No, you don't. I don't know how people do it.
I on a fixed income living in San Diego, I think it's very difficult.
It's got to be depressing.
It's very difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is the best city in the world, I think.
The sunshine tax that only goes so far at some point, right?
I know.
Yeah.
It's
I will tell you though,
Arizona is sunny. It's sunny in Texas, but
Yeah.
you get some bad weather too.
100%. I will tell you though, San Diego is a place that every time you go on vacation, when you come back, you're happy still when you come back from vacation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And when you're happy, you're living in the right place.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
we
happiness
are
is
just so grateful to live here.
so essential to life and living is just
Totally.
If you can't be happy, what is,
What are we
I
doing
guess people
now?
are happy wherever they are, but it's easier to be happy in San Diego and in
Yes.
Southern California for sure.
Very blessed.
So this is an election year, and I don't want to get too political, but what do you think the outcome's going to be depending on who wins? Like, do you think if Biden wins, there's going to be a certain outcome? Trump wins, there's going to be a certain outcome, whether it relates to economy and commercial real estate? What are your thoughts on that?
I think in terms of commercial real estate, I think that miraculously rates are going to drop in fourth quarter, and we'll see what that does to the overall economy. But I think there's going to be some
Regardless of who wins?
Regardless of who wins,
Yeah, there's
prior
gonna be a
to
drop.
election,
Yeah.
Right.
prior to election, the rates are going to drop. The stock market will probably do a little better than it's doing now. And, the market's going to seem like it's improving. And I think that might be a little bit of eyewash.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll have to see who wins the election. I think it's definitely a jump ball here at the end of the day.
Because in 2016, when Trump won, there was a nice lift in the economy. Some, obviously everyone was worried, is Trump going to blow up the world, right? But then when people realized, no, it's fine, then it was just like we had a good lift in the stock market. And I don't know if that's going to happen this time or not, but I kind of feel like that would happen.
I mean, the economy was as strong as it's ever been when Trump was in office. So that's all I'm going to say about Trump. But I mean, there's definitely a lot of positives there, obviously. So it's going to be interesting to see who wins, though. It's going to be fun watching on TV, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Hopefully
unfortunately,
we'll know.
the rest of the year is just going to be a big circus.
Yeah.
Just like we dealt with 4 years ago.
4 years ago. It's always a wild year. Election years are always wild.
Always wild. But I think it actually is pretty good timing for just kind of where the economy is right now, because I think it will help the economy. Regardless,
just to get that done.
Just to get it, prior to coming to election, going in, kind of getting out of third quarter, going into fourth quarter, I think, it's going to help a lot of us here. Your business, our business, I think it's definitely going to help us. But it's interesting to see who actually wins, and then moving forward to the first quarter of 25. We'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah. At the end of the day, the worst thing that all of us can deal with is just uncertainty. So at least, a horse we picked, whether it's going left or right, and at least that'll help to give a little bit more direction and ease for a lot of the, national corporate companies and occupiers, or for the capital market sector. At least it takes some element of that out.
Yeah. Well, you know what I do as I look at, I don't know if it's Vegas.com or it's one of those websites where they bet on the president who's going to win. And the odds are very much in Trump's favor.
Are they?
Which is crazy. Yeah. And they were last time too, until the night of the election. It was like the odds were for Trump.
Yeah.
And then the night of the election, I think it was I don't remember what time, I kept checking the website, and it shifted in the middle of the election and went for Biden. I was like,
Interesting.
that's crazy. Yeah. And so right now the odds, if you go onto that website, I don't remember which website it is, but you can probably just Google odds on, betting on the president or whatever, Vegas. And Vegas thinks Trump's going to win.
Well, let's hope Vegas is right.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, gosh, we're in a crazy
will
time.
see. It's
we're in a crazy time.
definitely crazy. I'd like to say that I'm walking in your office. You guys have a beautiful office here.
Thank you.
You guys have done really well, and I'm really proud of where you guys started and kind of where you're at now. So
You remember my little office in Encinitas?
I remember. I've
like
been here since the
trailer
beginning.
park house.
I've been here since the beginning.
They call it.
It was cute.
It was definitely cute, but yeah,
It was
this
cozy.
is
It was
cozy.
this is the real deal here, buddy.
This is the real
I'm proud
deal.
of you guys. Good work.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, it's very nice.
It's been a long truck.
But it all comes back to grit, though.
Grit.
you know, and you definitely have it. You know, you're very tenacious, and you don't take no for an answer.
Thank you.
Which translates into kind of all of our business. You know?
I don't like no.
No
Ever
one
since,
likes
like
no.
my mom would tell me no, and you know all that. Like
It's ingrained in all of us,
Yeah,
right?
right.
It's just a matter of what you do with it.
right, absolutely. Brant, you just had an addition to your family. How's that been going?
No,
No.
I did. I have a 7-month-old. It's been incredible. I think you actually told me, probably along with my brother, that it's a really, exciting, cool, incredible experience, and it's a really exhausting one.
Yeah.
The whole time I was like, yeah, I'm sure. And you quickly are humbled and realize that it is the most incredible, awesome experience, and it's also the absolute most exhausting experience as well.
All at the same
And that's
time.
me complaining because my wife is awesome and does 99% of all of it. But it's been a great learning curve for sure.
Yeah, it's the best thing you'll ever do, right? I mean,
Oh, it's the best.
Now that our kids are
my
growing
kids
up.
are older now, and they don't need us as much as they used to, which is kind of hard for us parents.
Right.
My daughter just got her license; she just started driving, which is terrifying. But
You have to
yeah,
up your
it's
insurance.
just yeah. The one thing that I will I advise to parents is like just be in each moment, just be in that stage. Don't wish for them to do the next stage.
Yeah,
That's what I always wanted. I wanted him to from crawling to walking, or from walking to talking, or from whatever the case was. I never got to really truly enjoy being in that moment. So I think just being present and just living each day is the key, because they grow up so fast.
I said it before on this podcast, but no one tells you the last time you'll do something with your kids. Like the last time you'll color.
Oh yeah.
Or the last time you'll be able to like drive with them in the passenger seat. 'Cause
Totally.
They'll be driving you now, right? Or like the last time you'll go, to a father-daughter dance. Like
Totally.
It's funny. I said that in one of my last podcasts, and literally I missed the last father-daughter dance.
Did you really?
I missed it because I already had a trip planned for like 6 months. Couldn't cancel it. So I took her out to like 2 dinners. It was like
Trying to make up for it.
But like it's true. No one tells you the last time your kid will crawl. And that kid now is a totally different kid. They're a walker, right? They're not a crawler anymore. They're, it's great when the last time you change their diaper. That's the best part.
No one wants to do that.
We're so far from that right now. I don't even want to talk about it.
No one wants to do that. Yeah, that was not my strong suit.
Yeah.
I think that whole present concept just carries through with everything in life, right? With your
Yeah.
clients, if they feel that you're present and actually listening to them and not looking through them or thinking about the next meeting,
Yeah.
you're going to build those relationships that'll be forever lasting.
Yeah.
With your significant other, if you're actually present, not hammering emails or on your phone, that's going to bode well for you. I mean, with brotherhood, with friendships, anything, if you really dedicate, because at the end of the day, we don't know how long all of us are here, not to be morbid, but you just got to be grateful and blessed for every day.
Every day is a gift.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's something you do take for granted, like just take for granted that, tomorrow's going to be here, and especially when someone who's passed away. I know you guys have had tragedies in your life, with your uncle and your, and stuff like that. Like we all have had people close to us, pass on, and you're just like, the worst is when it's like instant and it happens and you're not expecting it.
Totally.
It was like a total accident or heart attack or something crazy, and it just you don't know what to do. But that's the truth. That's the part of the beauty of life is you don't know. But if you take it for granted and you never try to at least spend quality time with people, or at least do that kind of stuff. One of the things that I remember, Bryce, was out of all my friends when I moved to Nashville, you were one of the only ones and the main one that would reach out to me. It was really cool, and that meant a lot to me. So like I think just saying that to say that like you never know what impact you can make on someone, whether it's just like calling them, right?
Totally,
or reaching out
sure.
and just asking a question like, how you doing, bro? How you doing okay? Just checking in. And that meant a lot to me, because like I had a lot of even closer friends. Like we weren't super close, but you just made effort, and just that alone, just making effort with people, it can be impactful.
Absolutely.
You never know how you're going to impact someone.
It's one of those things that just, it takes 2 seconds to type a quick text and just let people know how you feel. And, you never, because like you say, you never know when your next day or your last day is going to be.
Right.
I love the saying, when you're healthy, you want 1,000 things. When you're not healthy, you want one thing. It's like, that is so key. If you really think about that, it's like, and we're getting a little older now.
Yeah.
You're older than me. Just want to make sure we all know that. But
not on paper, maybe in looks, but
definitely on paper. But I turned 50 this year, and I'm starting to kind of go through that with my mind and just the process of like, my life is already more than halfway over, depending upon how long I live.
Yeah.
And you start thinking about all the stuff that you've done and the checks and balances and like I made a list of all the 20 things I want to do before I die, for example. And you just start checking off those lists, and I think it's really important. And that goes with business too. You have a lot of goals, whether they be personal or professional. And we're big goal setters in terms of like setting goals throughout the year for 1, 2, 3, 5 year goals, and really trying to hit those goals, whether they be monetary or family or personal or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you turn 50, I don't know what it is. It's a little light switch that kind of turns on. I'm not sure if it happened for you or not, but for me, I'm going.
Yeah,
through
it was
now.
a little weird. It was like 50.
I know.
That's old.
I used to say I'm not 50, and now I am 50.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost.
I mean, you don't have any grays, so
No
you're
grays
You're doing good there.
Yeah, thank God for that hair dye or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, between the two of you guys are 100 years old.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Brant.
Wow.
100 years of experience.
Yeah.
I feel really young over here. Just my prime 40.
Yes.
Yeah, we're 10 years apart. I was going to say this on camera. We're 10 years apart, but I don't know how many times we've asked, who's the older brother?
Oh,
that just makes me
he is?
really happy.
It was one person. It was a blind man.
It happens a lot.
Who's a blind man?
It happens a lot, just for the record.
That's awesome. So speaking of relationships and just caring and doing that kind of thing, talk about how you guys have created your success with relationships, and how that matters in repeat business or just overall success.
I think the biggest thing for us in general is I think that you try to do as much service as you can, whether that be personal or professional, and really try to not think about yourself and think about others, whether that be clients or whether that be your wife or your friends or your brother or whoever you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Just try to be of ultimate service. Because at the end of the day, giving back your time to people, there's not a better feeling. I don't care how much money you have. Money doesn't make you happy. I can tell you that right now. What does make you happy are relationships and our experiences. And, just being of service, and that translates to business is key for me personally anyways. I don't know, Brant, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, at least for our team, we really pride ourselves on being a family, and we maybe beat it into default to everybody on the team. But, we try to be mindful that people have personal lives regardless of how busy we get. But we always just try to look at every situation from a business perspective as, if they actually were blood, if they were family, because obviously Bryce and I have that between the two of us, but we have, as he mentioned earlier, 12 other people that we're responsible for looking out for. Mm-hmm. But we have that same view with our clients, treating them and making decisions for them if it was your mom or dad or brother or sibling or whatever the case is, because all that stuff shows through.
Yeah.
There's one thing to have perseverance and grit and be really aggressive to get deals done. But, if you're overly aggressive, if you're self-serving, all that stuff shows through. I mean, clients can smell that stuff in sales.
Right.
But if you're authentic and you're, ethical and always having everybody's interest above your own, then it's going to, give back to you tenfold.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, the best salesperson is the person that listens the most, period. You think in sales, you just want to talk.
Yeah.
And Brant and I are not shy of talking, as you know.
Yeah.
But, we've learned over the years that if you just listen and just truly listen to what the client's asking or what your spouse is asking, which that's hard for me sometimes. Just really listening, you get so much more than talking the entire time. Right. That's the best advice that I was given and I'm giving now, I think, is just be a good listener.
Probably the hardest thing involved in sales. Yeah. Actually, if you think about it, if you listen to the client instead of just trying to sell them, you actually can figure out how to craft your pitch around what they were looking for. Yeah, but you just get so excited and fired up about trying to, cover all the grounds and bases when maybe it's just one thing that they want to hit on.
Yeah. Yeah. You always think like when you hear these people sell and they're closing and they're, firing away these perfect little lines that they say, to close people and make them laugh. But then it's like, you're not really checking for that acceptance to see if the client's, following along with you, especially if you're on the phone. They could be on the email, not even listening to you, watching a TV show. You never know what people are doing when you're talking.
Right.
And so I've learned that too, is just when you're trying to sell, the best thing to do is just to ask really good questions, listen, ask a follow-up question, and just then, going for the close. But if you're talking, good chance they're not listening. They're not listening.
No, I mean,
they're not even with you.
Well,
and
for us, I mean, we've been so blessed with having great clients for so many years. It's so much easier to work really hard and have more of an advisor role and have repeat clients and repeat business that keeps continually coming back versus trying to go, hunt and shoot every single day for new relationships.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I mean, they definitely feel that, and that's why they continue to come back to us, time and time again, because they know that we're doing the right thing by them.
Any examples or stories of someone that you were able to bring into as a client, but what you did to create that relationship? I mean, I know you guys have taken people on helicopters and
we've done all the different trips and the big events and taking clients and friends and really, I mean, Brant said it already, but it's our clients are our friends. Like we have probably one of the best jobs in the world because we get to work with all of our friends on a daily basis. Whether they're living in New York or in Chicago or Dallas or here in San Diego, wherever they're at, they're our friends. And doing business with friends is the best.
That's cool.
It definitely takes away from that. The awkward, kind of, sales type approach. And it's more of like truly a friendship.
Yeah.
And they know that you're aligned with them. You have your best interests. They have your best interests. And you're kind of looking out for each other. It's a team, and I think in terms of, clients, I mean, we have, all the largest institutions in the world that we work for. And, again, there's one thing that, people do come and go throughout these, throughout the businesses and, but they're going to land somewhere. And wherever they go, they might be a client for you for another firm that they're working for. So the best advice I have is to, you never close doors, you never burn bridges. You always end on good terms, even when it's hard to tell people. Like, for example, someone will call me and, if we didn't win an opportunity, for example, and they'll call you and it's hard for them making that call. And they don't want to make that call to you because there's a relationship there. And what I do time and time again is I empathize with them and I say, hey, I can imagine this is really hard for you to make this call. And that just cuts that cuts through the ice, cuts through the uncomfortable situation. Yep. And clients remember that because that is really how I feel. And that's how our team feels is like, again, if we don't win this one, okay, we'll get the next one. It's just, but obviously I don't like losing and we're very competitive, but at the end of the day, you want to do what's right and you don't want to close doors.
Yeah. You're playing for the long game versus
it's a long game for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's always good too, just to take a breath, right? I mean, we're always trying to be maybe overly aggressive or we're running really fast and getting pulled in a million different directions because we're working on, 50 deals at a time or whatever the case is. And so if that case or situation happens where, an assignment doesn't get won or a deal goes sideways, one, you have to stop and just realize that it happens all the time. I mean, we've all been doing this long enough that unfortunately it's probably happens more times than we like to admit. But the other thing is just not to react too quickly. I mean, I don't know how many times I've
take a breath.
Wanted to pick up the phone and go light somebody up or typed out an email and deleted it 15 times and just kind of slept on it and felt a lot different and grateful that I did that. Or, you bounce it off a partner and figure out, how you want to approach the situation.
The 24-hour rule is key.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Even with any relationship problems. Wait for 24 hours, no matter what situation. Before you talk, just pause, breathe, take a walk, go do something else, come back to the situation in 24 hours. I guarantee you're going to feel different.
Yeah.
Which is the hardest thing to do, right? Because you want to, at least my personality, I want to figure something out right then.
Yeah.
And just then I can move on and go, focus on other things.
Yeah.
Or fix the problem right then or stop the argument, whatever the case is. And, it's just not always the best way to handle things.
It's crazy how that works. How time, just slow. If you just take time and breathe and just take a little moment and even maybe 24 hours, like you said, it's crazy how those feelings just sort of subside and it's not as crazy. It's not as important. It's not as like big of a deal as, as you thought.
It never is.
Never is.
It's never that intense. It's never that in the moment though, when you're in it, you see red, there's nothing else that matters. You think this is the most important thing in the world. It's going to end X, Y, or Z, and you're trying to forward think what the outcome is going to be. And again, I always say that you can't live in the past because that's just, regret, negativity. You can't live in the future because that's anxiety. So you got to just live truly in the present, and today's Wednesday. Let's focus on today. Let's work on Wednesday.
Let's live in today.
Let's live in today. And I used to always think that meant that I wasn't, trying to achieve or didn't have goals or I wasn't setting goals or I was being complacent.
Yeah.
But reality is when you really think about it, all you can control is what's in front of you. You can't control what's going to happen tomorrow. Yeah. Work, personal, kids, relationships, brothers. Right. You can't control other people. So you just got to focus on today.
That's good. That's good advice. Let's talk about negotiations.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. because negotiations is where a lot of the stuff happens, right? A lot of that rub happens in, passion. Talk about that. What do you have any secret skills or any, techniques you could share?
I think a lot of it, unfortunately for people that are newer in the sales role, it does come with just experience because, if you're fighting really hard to get that one deal and you found this kind of lump of coal and you're trying to figure out how to polish it and turn it into something.
Right.
But I mean, at this point, after you're in sales for long enough, you don't really ride the roller coasters anymore. You realize that not one deal is going to change your life. Not one deal is going to, break you or make you or your clients, well-being. And really just try to focus on figuring out the best path to trying to get, your job accomplished, your deal done for your clients, versus trying to, the worst thing anybody can do, especially if you're early in the business, is start sitting there calculating your fees and how much money you're going to make. Or
that is the worst thing you can do.
Well, it's going to cloud your judgment, even if, you're still trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Or it's going to make you ride that emotional roller coaster. And then you definitely don't want to bring it home to your, significant other or your home life. I mean, the work kind of has to stop at the door.
Yeah.
You have to have separation between all that stuff. The art of the negotiation, obviously every deal's a little bit different and unique, which is why we love it. Yeah. There's always a constant challenge, especially over the last couple of years. I don't remember the last deal we did that didn't have some sort of hair on it or some sort of, hurdle we had to overcome. But at the end of the day, I think the more you take a patient approach at it and really try to think about it methodically, you're going to be able to navigate through it. And if not, there's another one that follows right behind.
And negotiation is, in my mind, it's a lot of listening. I think, you heard the word negotiation, that obviously right when your first thought comes is conflict. Yeah. Or, there's, you're against the other person or whatever the case is.
Debate
or there's a winner and a loser.
Right.
And reality is the best negotiation is finding that common ground. Yeah. And, when you can find that common ground where both feel like they win, that's the key.
Yeah. So. Any
techniques? Hopefully our clients aren't here listening to this. They might want you to fight a little harder.
Any techniques that you use, some people use the takeaway, or there's different techniques. What's something you guys have
I think for us, I mean, I think we just lay out the facts and just lay out the reality. Take all the emotion out of it. Lay out the facts and understanding, the plus and minuses. For example, representing a seller or a buyer, or whatever the case is. Laying out all the facts. Make sure everyone knows exactly what the deal is. And the best, in my opinion, the best outcome is when the client comes to their own decision by you kind of leading in that direction.
Yeah.
So, whether you're, laying breadcrumbs out where you're, trying to get them to the goal line, we're not a hard sale, close type, personality.
Yeah.
Again, trying to listen as much as you can, trying to be, the best advocate you can for your clients, whether you're representing either side, and, just really trying to find that common ground. But, in terms of the one-liner hard close, those days are gone. People see right through that.
Right.
You're not trying to sell watches or
sell me this pen.
Selling toothbrushes on the front doorstep,
Yeah. I mean, I think
although I might be at some point, but
but there's some what's the word, psychological things, and not, saying manipulation, because that's, some people use that, but there's got to be some things where and I think the way I see it is you want to know data. You want to get data, as much data as you can. You want to know what the person's thinking, what their needs are, right? What their timing is, because then you can use that to help negotiate deals, right? So what else do you guys use?
Well, that goes into the listening part, right? I mean, for us on the landlord or institutional client, selling side, we can get to the crux of what they really are out seeking. At the end of the day, where they want to land, what they want. And really, for brokers, good brokers, their job is to go figure out how to get that. Yeah. Whether that's choreographing things behind the scene with the opposing broker, or going direct to the other side of the table in the party and figuring out what horse trading or what give on a modest side you can do to get what your client's looking for.
Right.
Depending on where we're at in the market, creating urgency is always, over the last few years, has been something that's been really helpful. Now the dynamics have changed a little bit, so that urgency isn't as important or relevant. Right. But, if you're in a market where there's limited options and a lot of demand, then, naturally that's an easy lever to pull on, where you can create a knife fight pretty quickly, and then things kind of evolve themselves, and you put everything back in the client's decision court.
I think building, competition is key. So, whether, the clients are bidding, are trying to outbid each other on a specific project, whatever the case is, creating that competition is what our job is. Yeah. Again, laying out the facts and just creating the biggest competition you can. Like Brant said, at the end of the day, we'll have, 100 groups, for example, looking at one project, but you only can have one buyer. It only takes one, right? So, brokers like to tote around how many, NDAs they get signed, for example, and how many tours they do, and which is great. Again, that creates competition, but really it comes down to selecting that right group that's going to execute on a timely manner and at the set terms that you go into the competition or get into the negotiation with.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Any interesting sales stories you guys have? Like maybe someone on your team that did something, like a story of.
We had a guy one time on a tour. He was on a tour with a group, and the group left, and he was going around locking up the building. And he accidentally locked himself into the building, and he's walking through a stairwell, and he ran into this is no joke, a skunk. And a skunk sprayed him in a building that he was locked in. So he had to call his wife. She had to come down and get him, open the door for him. And
he stripped down in the parking lot.
He got butt naked, stripped down in the parking lot, and had to throw away his clothes. That's a true story.
What happened to the skunk?
I think nobody
ever asked that question.
I think the skunk is still there, actually. Yeah.
Ready to get the next guy that locks himself in.
It just shows how sensitive you are. Nobody ever thought to ask about the skunk.
I mean,
he was scared.
Poor guy.
Poor skunk.
Yeah.
The skunk was minding his own business. But yeah, I mean, what
was he doing in the office?
Yeah, why was the skunk there? I have no idea. But
skunk works.
Yeah, exactly. In terms of, in terms of day to day, I mean, we deal with so many different personalities, and I think that's the best part of our job because you deal with all different walks of life, which is I think the fun part about our job because you get to really understand and get to learn about how people kind of react and how they, tick in terms of, whatever their interests are. And, and then especially being in industrial real estate, we get to see how things are actually made. So you're walking through warehouses and seeing all the widgets that go into the fighter jets or, defense contractors or, whatever it is, whatever sector you're in, we get to see all that stuff, which is pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
So that's part think about that's, the other part of that is just from a sales standpoint, learning about different people's personalities and just what makes them tick. Yeah. It's kind of like the love language thing. Like, we've had several people over the years on our team and just learning from, and you've dealt with this with your company, like when you're managing people, different people are motivated by different stuff.
Right.
Some guys it's F you, go run through that wall and they'll do it twice as hard and fast to show you they can do it.
Right.
Other guys and gals want to, pat on the back, Some people want gifts or attaboys or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
But, it's the same thing with clients. Like certain clients want to be responded to differently and then kind of figuring out quickly and from a sales cycle perspective, what motivates people or what, kind of gets them engaged is kind of the fun part of it.
What's a good way to find that out?
Listening. Asking questions.
Always asking questions. Listen. It goes back to listening.
Yeah. Both of our wives are going to tell us that we're full of shit on this thing.
And it's like, what do I guess you can even ask, what do you want? Like, what are you looking for? What do you want?
What is your outcome? What are you looking for here? Yeah. How can we help? How can we be of service? How can we add value to you? A lot of these questions aren't being asked, which is just crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. From a client perspective, I feel like it's a lot of questions when you're managing and running teams and stuff. I feel like it's a lot of analyzing and seeing how they respond to different situations you put them in.
Yeah.
And, when you see those light bulbs go off in their eyes, obviously that's something that really kind of gets them excited about the win or the success that they had.
Yeah.
So you just have to navigate and be mindful of that on the next one so that they feel, empowered and excited about going and knocking the next one down.
Yeah. I heard someone say, like, what would it mean to you if you were able to get this?
Yep.
That's like a good question because it's open-ended. It's also getting down to like more of a meaning thing versus like, do you want to get this deal closed? Yeah, I do. But like, what would it mean to you? Oh, if I get this home loan, then I can get cash out and then I could build a pool, for my kids. And they start going into the whole, then you're like, oh, they're really motivated by, they want to build a pool for their kids because summer's coming. And, and then you're like, okay, then now you have all that data that you can go back to the, to the customer and really focus on that.
The old Carnegie sales training.
Right? That is. Those things work.
They do. I mean, there's a reason why, some of those, sale gurus, if you will, or these courses have been around for so long. I mean, decades.
Yeah, and we forget about them, but like,
but nobody does it. right? I mean, that's why there's not a million salesmen out there or saleswomen out there that absolutely crush it.
Yeah.
It's because people either they're lazy, they don't follow it, they think they can do it better, whatever the case is, or they deviate from the plan. Yeah. They don't have accountability to it, like we talked about earlier. And so it just kind of falls by the wayside.
We were just talking about that today. We're big on business planning, and we're going through and we're updating our business plan as of right now. And Brant said, what about do we want to give this information out? And I'm like, I don't care if we give our business plan to everybody because no one's going to do it. Yep. There's a bunch of sales training that like Brant said earlier. There's for instance, there's a guy named Mike Lipsy training, and he'll give you the kind of the pyramid kind of selling where it goes from macro to micro. And, I thought that was like the biggest secret ever. And I was so into it. This is a decade ago. And we actually did it. And we use it. I mean, we put it into our business plan. And, I have no problem sharing my business plan with anybody because reality is that 99% of the people aren't going to do it.
Or you'll outwork them.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it goes back to grit. It's like, you're not going to outwork me. I might not be the smartest guy, but you're not going to outwork me.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I always respect the people that just give out their ideas because ideas, I think Gary Vaynerchuk said, ideas are shit. Yep. It's the execution of the idea.
It's execution,
so, 100%.
If you give your idea to a dude that's going to execute like crazy, then you kind of, I gave it to the wrong guy and he just did it, and he crushed you. But I mean, most, like you said, to your point, most people aren't going to do it. And
they're not going to do it.
They're going to go like, oh, I want to do this. But then they think there's an elevator to success and they can just sort of do the easy hack and get the easy way to accomplish it. But you'll outwork them and you'll make it better and you'll do it better.
I mean, there is no easy way for success. There is no get rich quick. That does not exist. It's
why do
people think
so
that?
Many people think that?
People think that, but reality is that, I mean, we've been doing this now for, like I said, over 22, 23 years now. And it's like, it's a long road, but if you can withstand it, if you can, knock on those doors and take no for an answer. I don't know how many times you get told no, you're going to get that yes. And it's going to happen. It just takes, confidence. It takes, planning. It takes, preparation, and it just takes patience. And it's like a lot of these young kids come out of school, they don't have that patience. They want it now. Yeah. They see the older guys driving the nicer cars or the bigger houses or the nice watches or whatever the case.
You're like,
private
what?
jets.
Some kid? Like,
Yeah, totally. And they want that too. And they don't realize what that person has gone through to get there.
Yeah.
It's really easy to see the end result, but no one knows, guaranteed, the people that are successful, all of the, the pain points they had to go through to get to that success. I've been very fortunate to, a lot of guys that I went to college with have been extremely successful. Yeah. And just seeing them grow, and it's really easy to say, oh wow, that guy did that. Wow, this, but they have no idea what the sacrifices that these guys have had to make, that we've all had to make to get to the levels where we're at. I wasn't able to come home at 5 o'clock and hang out with my kids when they were young. Right. I didn't do that. I missed that, and I definitely regret that part of my life. But I had to do what I needed to do to make sure that our team was growing like it did.
Yeah, but you sacrificed.
I definitely sacrificed.
And that's the beautiful thing about that it is really hard, because we wouldn't respect it if it wasn't hard.
Totally.
I mean, also then everybody would do it, right? I mean, if it wasn't a challenge, if you weren't constantly getting kicked, then, we wouldn't have as much value.
Right. And you respect, I mean, not to get weird, but like, someone with a six pack, you can respect that, because you're like, that dude sacrificed eating all the pizza and sushi that, I eat. And he did way too much working out.
Totally.
But like, you're like, good for you, man. Like, I don't have that. It's hard. It's really hard to do that. Right. And like, my point is that like, to get somewhere great, it's not easy. And if it was easy, we would not respect it. We would not appreciate it. It wouldn't be beautiful. It wouldn't be worthwhile in living. It's like, but that's what's beautiful about it, is that you can attain it, but it just takes a lot of effort.
It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of grit, and it takes a lot of patience and preparation and planning. And by the way, that 6-pack comment you made, that's on my before I die list.
You're going to do it?
I'm going to do it.
Okay.
You were staring at me when you were saying it, so I thought you were just referencing my 6-pack.
That's definitely not the case, but
definitely not back in the day.
He did 22 years ago.
When you were doing like backflips on his wakeboard and stuff.
I had it at one point in my life.
He did.
Let's not timestamp anything.
But it's easy when you're 16 to have a 6-pack.
Of course, everyone does at 16. Yeah.
But at 40 and 50,
it's different, for sure.
When is your goal to have a 6-pack? By 50?
51.
51. Okay.
51. So whoever can help me out there listening to this.
You got about 18 months.
It's easy, man. Just you can't eat that much. You only can eat protein, and you got to do 1,000 sit-ups a day or something
That's
crazy
it.
like that.
No big deal.
So
no big
it's
deal.
Easy. It's just the work's hard, but it's simple.
I will tell you, like all that self-help stuff is real. The cold plunging, the saunas, the cryo, the red lamps, all of it, exercise, on an hour, do an hour exercise every day. It is what I think when you look at like the guys that are the most successful, they are definitely plan out their days and they really make sure that they put that self-help in every day.
Yeah.
It's so critical.
It's mindset. It's
having a regiment, right?
It's also taking control of your future and your destiny. It's like not just being blown around by the wind, like, in a sailboat, just not having a destination. It's like, this is where I'm going. I need to plan it. I need to do it, put in effort, put in the planning.
Yep.
Right.
I had all of that 8 months ago.
And
since my son's 7 months old, that all went out the window.
It's beautiful, but true. And life takes you in different directions, right?
It's all awesome.
It's been fun watching him mature, though, over the last year or so, seeing him grow as a dad and, as a husband and, and just maturing in life. It's been fun to watch.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't start maturing until 39.
Do you get advice?
Actually, just about 2 weeks ago.
Do you get like advice from him? Like, dude, what do I do? My kid's, screaming, crying, or,
I do. Sometimes it's asked and requested. Sometimes it's offered, unwarranted. But either way, it's always appreciated.
Yeah, that's good.
I think what you quickly realize, or at least I did, is everybody has their own kind of journey. Everybody's family dynamics are, unique to themselves, and everybody's baby's different. Not that everybody is, that special and unique one by one, but just kind of figuring out your own path and what works for you and your family has been a fun new little challenge and exciting adventure for us.
I mean, you can give people as much advice as they want, but when they're not ready to listen and have their ears turned on to actually take the advice, you're just talking to a wall. So it's like when people truly ask for advice and they want it, then you're able to really dig in and really help that person. Yeah. But a lot of us, including myself, give advice when it's not wanted sometimes. Especially to my wife sometimes. So you got to just kind of pick and choose those situations. And sometimes, again, it goes back to just listening. Some people, sometimes they just want to be heard. Yeah. Whether it be clients or whether it be personal, and just listening is the key. So I'm still working on that. A definitely a work in progress.
When people ask me, advice, like they say like, oh, your son's so great. He did, he's very respectful, blah, blah, blah. I don't give them any advice because I just want their kids to end up like, shitty kids. So my son doesn't have to have any competition.
Yeah, if every son was that good, then, he wouldn't be that unique.
Right.
Makes sense. Sandbag it.
I just had him. He was a free range kid. I didn't discipline him. Didn't do anything. Just let him do whatever he wanted.
Oh my gosh.
Perfect advice.
Because he's going to compete against that kid at some point.
So funny.
No, I'm kidding.
Smart.
It's good to give advice, but to your point, you don't want to like unrequested or unsolicited.
Totally.
But it's true. I like to say like choose your hard, right? So you're hard on them when they're young, or you're gonna have hard time when they're older because they're not gonna have that discipline. They're not gonna they're gonna tell you F you dad, or it's like
kids want accountability. They act like they don't, but they want to have consistency. They want to have a schedule. They want to be, maybe they're saying they act like they don't want to be told what to do, but they need that when they're at their young age.
It's like a cocoon. It's like they want to feel safe.
Totally.
Right?
Well, I can tell you from growing up with our dad, I mean, that was definitely something that attributes to, the grit and perseverance and success we've been able to have is having, just seeing him just by way of action. I mean, his work ethic was like none other. He always followed through and finished what he said he was going to do. He's always super ethical. I mean, all the stuff that, doesn't seem like it's such a big outlier, but not that many do. Yeah. But when you're growing up seeing it, I mean, I think my first job, I was like 12 years old. I had to get a special note slip so I could start working. I know you were super young too. It's like just being able to instill that stuff. It probably kept us out of some trouble. Yeah. And it definitely just taught us that work ethic and that, nothing's free in life and got to put your head down and go earn it.
Yeah, I mean, our dad made so many sacrifices when we were growing up. I mean, we never saw him when you were younger, and my mom was the one that kind of ran the household because dad had to work and he had to, make a living and mom stayed at home. So dad went out and yeah, I mean, he didn't get home leave at 4 a.m, get home till 7 o'clock at night. And I mean, that was every day for the first, 10 years of my life growing up. And this guy showed up is a little different, but
Yeah.
it's just you just see that grit though. I mean, and like Brant said, that's where you just maybe you're not paying attention to it, but it just instilled in you. And seeing the sacrifices that he's made, and
that's a gift to be able to have that and 100% as a child.
Well, it's selflessness from a parent standpoint, and being able to, you don't even realize it's like through, just absorb it through osmosis that we
programming.
It's like programming, exactly. But I think it carries through also when you're, like we said, when you're leading teams and when you're running companies, because everybody has to kind of lead by example.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get people to, kind of follow suit or, maybe have the same level of respect or diligence if you're off vacationing in I don't know, Mexico or something all the time, just to throw out a location.
I feel a little bit of assaults coming out.
No assault. We just know you love Mexico.
I love Mexico.
You love Mexico. That's good. It's your happy place.
It is.
Nothing wrong with that.
I love it.
We love Montana. That's our happy place. So I get it.
Me encanta Mexico.
Oh boy, here it goes, guys. Here it goes.
But shout out to Rick Aberg.
Rick Aberg.
Absolutely.
Great,
He's a great man.
Yes.
Great man.
Made a couple great boys. So
we just took him to Fiji a couple weeks ago, and he just loves being around the young guys. He loves mucking it up with everybody, and
so awesome.
He fits right in. He's the only kind of grandpa or dad that was on this trip, and he was everybody's best friend at the end of the day. It was really cool to see.
He's a proud dad and grandfather to a fault.
That's cool.
Everybody knows how proud he is. Which
oh boy,
we're very grateful for.
That's awesome.
We're blessed with a great family. I think that's really important as well, just as you're kind of moving through life and all the struggles and things that you realize in business. Because again, it's not easy, especially in the sales world. And when things are good for everybody, things are great. But when things are real, then that's always where things become more unique and challenging. And all this family stuff that we put ourselves through, being partners for 18 years, really comes into play.
That's cool. Any favorite failures that have turned into something positive?
In terms of failures, I fail every day. There's always something that I don't do exactly how I want it to do, or the outcome isn't exactly what I want. And I've realized that I don't focus on the outcome. I focus on what I'm doing, and doing the best that I can at whatever I'm doing, whether it be work or personal. But yeah, failures definitely. I learn from every time I fail, which is a lot, and you just take what you learned, and hopefully you don't make that same mistake over and over and over again. Yeah. That's hard for me because I'm a slow learner sometimes. But yeah, we fail daily, and it's, I think failure is good because I think failure definitely kind of leads back to that whole grit concept. And, I think no matter what you're doing in terms of sales anyways, you're going to fail. It's going to happen. You look at some of the best athletes in the world, how many times they failed. All you see is the highlight reels. Yep. It's like Instagram. It's like all you see is people's highlight lives, right? But you don't see all the shit that they had to do to get to where they're at, right? So
it's a big deception in a way. It's like, in a way, it's like almost stealing away that true grit.
Totally.
Of what takes, the reality.
Yeah. I'm not a big Instagram guy for that reason only, is because it's just a highlight life. You don't see like the whole like reality of people's real lives, I'm
going to change my Instagrams where I'm just going to focus on all of the shitty,
failures.
hard failure stuff.
That's what you should do. That'd be real.
That would be real.
If you're not failing, you're not trying.
If you're not, Instagram, even like with people's photos, like they'll go through and like make their faces look different. And it's like,
right.
I see you. I know you don't look like that. Why do you have look like that? It's crazy.
Like my 6-pack on the post from
last
last
week?
week.
Brant's 6-pack. Exactly.
It's all painted on with a filter.
Yeah. But also those failures, a lot of times, you learn from them and you just become a more well-rounded, individual, human, individual in the professional world. But 9 times out of 10, I feel like you figure out how to turn that failure into an even better opportunity.
Right.
It might not be tomorrow, but down the road, our real estate relationships with clients and just real estate in general, you're playing the long game. Yeah. It's definitely not a get rich quick, but that failure that happened today, 2 years down the road, could end up being the biggest opportunity you did for the year. Whatever the case is. So, we kind of
give an example.
Welcome it and try to learn from it.
Give an example.
Again, like the example I gave earlier about, when you get that call from the client that says, the way our business works is you'll go and pitch an opportunity. Whether there'll be 2 to 3 to 4 different groups that are pitching the same opportunity, and you only have one winner, of course. So, the client has to go through and has to make those calls to the other 2 or 3 people that don't win it. And like our approach is, have empathy towards that client, because they had to tell you you're not going to get it. And that has led to so many successes. you know, in terms of
the way
the way you handled the situation. If you blow up and you just get real mad and out of anger and out of your own self will and, you know, whatever you're driving for yourself or for your team, you know, again, you know, we all need to make money, but there's a right and there's a wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, to be able to lose fair too, you know, we all want to win, of course, but to lose fairly and then have empathy towards that client, I think goes a long ways.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, we've been blessed with a good track record, but, you know, we have had times where, you know, maybe a client picks another brokerage firm and it ends up being a failed process and the second man in ends up winning ultimately. Mm-hmm. And that happens, you know, as well, where it, you know, it just, whether it's function of timing or better brokerage or, you know, market shift to dynamics, whatever the case is, where, you know, you're disappointed going in and then you end up winning on the outside.
That's good. Yeah. I know you guys are big on goals. So you set goals in the beginning of the year, right? And then you kind of look back and you compare and you always are trying to push yourselves.
Yeah.
How important is goal setting?
So we spend a couple of days, our entire team offsite in the month of December to make sure that everything's kind of wheels in motion by the time January 1 starts. But it's everything. I mean, in our mind, you know, the accountability to goals is the only way that you're going to be successful and have that path to success.
Do you drill down on weekly and daily and all that? Like,
so every single week we go through the goals for every individual on the team. So we actually throw it up on a board and it drills down what our total team goals are, you know, from a number of transactions and a monetary. I mean, in the brokerage world, that's the only way to really track your success and how things are doing is it has to be, you know, kind of dollar driven, which is, you know, fortunate and unfortunate. But it's a quantifiable metric, which is really important when you're having goals. You can't just say, I want to be the best broker.
Right.
Like, what does that mean? It means I'm going to make X dollars or I'm going to sell X number of listings, something that's actually a measurable, quantifiable goal. So our team actually goes through on a weekly basis and measures that up compared to where we should be for the month as well as for the year. So, I mean, at any given time, you know, everybody on the team knows exactly where they're at, which is really good. I mean, it's a good opportunity for you to light some, you know, fire under yourself or your partners or teammates. Yeah. And also it's just a good for yourself. Sometimes you'll work your ass off for the week and then you lift your head up and you're like, what did I actually accomplish? Yeah. You know, you just get busy doing stuff that actually isn't
just replying to emails.
Productive. Yeah. You're playing the email game or, you know, just you're maybe coddling and holding on to these deals that are already kind of wheels in motion that you don't need to do anything for and you could go focus elsewhere. Yeah. So it's an important way that you can kind of measure and be able to determine where you're at for that, you know, given snapshot in time.
I'd say goals are really important and we're big on goals, but it's also, you know, following up on those goals is even more important. So you can set as many goals as you want, but if you're not having follow through and if you're not actually looking at what you're doing to get to that goal and what what you didn't do, for instance, that week to not get to that goal, that's where, like, I think the whole break in, you know, chain of command, it happens where, you know, you can set out all these intentions, all these goals that you have for the beginning of the year. But things change, you know, things change throughout the year and you have to be able to, rates go up, you know, people decide to, you know, go a different direction or whatever the case may be is, you know, you have to be able to move and pivot and don't be so rigid and stuck in your own way. There's always a different way to get there. It's not just always your way. So have an open mind and really, really think about the big picture and look at everyone's intentions besides just your own. Yeah, I think is really key.
That's good.
That reminds me too. I mean, in my opinion, anyways, you can set too many goals. Yeah. I mean, I used to struggle with that, and even on our team to a degree, you know, years ago, where we'd have these laundry list of, you know, 3 pages of all these goals, and what we realized over time is, you know, it's just not for a larger team. It's not really achievable, or at least for us, the way that we are monitoring it. I mean, we're focused on, you know, growing our revenue and growing our business and our team and education and, you know, the relationships. But we'd have all these other goals. We wanted to go, you know, out and do these team events together on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, or, you know, we wanted to go do whatever it was, read 10 books a month. Yeah. And, you know, you set all these goals that are a little bit, you know, maybe lofty. And so some of those start to fall off the wayside. And then you start feeling bad about, you know, maybe I failed on these goals. I think the reality, at least for us, that we found is we just had too long of a list. It just wasn't realistic for where our real focus was. So we kind of realized that they weren't really goals. It was like, hey, if I could carve out time somewhere, these would be cool to do, but they're not really my focus goals that I want to attain and achieve for that, you know, for that calendar year.
That's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Less is definitely more when it comes to goals.
Yeah. Yeah. And then following through and making sure you hit them. Yeah,
following
so
through
important.
is key. That's the biggest thing.
That's
Is
the
follow
biggest
through.
part. Yeah, it's really easy to write down a bunch of goals.
So you guys are kind of influencers to me a little bit because you guys got the cold plunge, the sauna, the cold plunge before I did, and
A lot of things before you, John.
Yeah. Any other little hacks that you're into right now that I can jump on? Like what?
Well, I don't own a tequila company yet, so that's something I'm really kind of envious that you have.
Yeah. Well,
but
you can invest in it.
But soon we will.
Yeah, I can be an investor. Again, I think, over the last couple of years, we've invested in a lot of private equity deals where we're, invite in a lot of startup companies, which I'm a little addicted to these days. That's a good thing for you because you keep on giving these ideas that I invest in. And, I think, in terms of investing for us, I think it's really, yes, you have to have a good product, but I really invest in people.
Yep.
I don't invest in a tequila bottle, for example. I invest in you, what I mean? And what your vision is. So really, focusing on not just, what the end result is, but it could be for a bigger picture here. So really investing in people, I think, is really important. And then really mental health is so big these days. And, we're really big on it too. So it's, just really self-care, taking care of yourself is so important. And I used to not think about how important that was. And then over the last, 3 to 5 years or so, I really started thinking about, what do I need to do to make the best version of myself so then I can be a better version for my clients, for my family, for my friends, and really investing in yourself, which I think at the end of the day helps everybody out. No one wants to work with a grumpy, out of shape, overweight broker. Yeah. They want to work with someone that they want to maybe aspire to or be like, or whatever the case may be. So you just want to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah. So
I'm bummed it took me 50 years to learn that.
So what kind of things are you doing? You do the cold plunge.
So for example, this morning,
yes,
I woke up at 4:30. I went for a run on the beach. Then I went and I did a sauna for 30 minutes. Then I did a cold plunge for 3 minutes and I almost died. And then, off to work,
Yeah.
but I mean, I do something like that every morning. That's kind of my time where I can do it. I try to set goals.
Like meditation or anything? Or
I mean,
breathing,
I'll do like
work?
I'll do a 3-minute meditation in the morning as well. That kind of starts my day off. I hit my knees and pray to God and just thank Him for all the things that I have and be grateful for.
Yeah.
A lot of gratitude lists. I start my day with a gratitude list and I end my day with a gratitude list where I look at what I'm 3 things I'm grateful for that day, and then I look back and what I'm three grateful things that I did throughout the day. That's and
cool.
A lot of that's personal. Some of it can be professional as well.
That's good.
But really setting with intentions, I think, is key. But mental health is just so important.
So important, yeah.
So important.
And gratitude is such a key for mental health because,
Yeah.
if we're not noticing. It's like they what do they say? Something about until it's gone. What was the thing? You don't know what you have.
Until it's gone.
Yeah. So just noticing the things you're grateful for is huge for happiness.
Totally.
Yeah.
Right? Because
100%.
Well, especially in the world we live in, like we were talking about earlier with, social media or whatever the case is, it's really easy with the, kind of a keeping up with the Joneses mentality.
Right.
Or that, client or that broker or whomever has the better house, cooler car, hotter wife, cooler, better kids, the best son ever. Whatever the case is.
Nate.
Nate. But it's just easy, especially when we're all goal-oriented and we wanted to have the best of everything for our families.
Right.
It's really easy to just get a little jaded and get kind of lost in just having gratitude for what you have.
Yeah.
Because reality is everybody in this room is incredibly, incredibly blessed.
We're so blessed. Yeah.
And
I said it before. It's like money does not make you happy.
No.
And when you
Wait,
finally realize that,
I disagree with that because money you can buy tequila.
Money you can buy tequila, but
makes you happy.
If your goal, for instance, you want to get into commercial real estate because you think you're going to make a lot of money, yes, you can have a very successful career, but it can't be your primary goal. It can't be your primary driver.
Right.
Yeah.
Money comes and goes. What makes you happy are experiences, relationships with people. Yeah. That's what makes you happy, and being grateful for exactly what you have, where you're at, and truly living in that day, being present. That's what
I think about with my kids. Like when they're grateful for something, it makes me want to give them more.
100%.
And I'm pretty sure the universe and God is similar to that. It's like if you're not grateful, it's like why should I give you anything? So I think the key to success starts with gratitude.
Gratitude and being of service and just giving without expectations to people or to even to strangers. Just giving your time, giving your ear, listening. I think if you come from a reality of being of service,
that
I think that just goes a long ways.
it's so hard in San Diego because we're so on this hamster wheel, right?
Totally.
Like when I went to Nashville, there's a little story I'll tell you guys. I was in my car. I just moved there. I was like maybe there for a month, and I'm sitting at a light and I'm looking at my phone. Back then, I was, you can check email even back then in 2010 on your phone. So I was like checking an email. The light was red. I got super caught up in this email, and all of a sudden I get a little knock on my window, and I look up, the light's green, and I look over, and this dude in overalls. I'm living in like the countryside of Nashville, right? And I roll down my window. He goes, "You having car trouble?" And the guy's literally the guy that was behind me, and like instead of honking at me and getting pissed off at me, he thought I was having car trouble.
Want to help?
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And I just felt like the biggest jerk.
Yeah.
Because I'm like just not even paying attention, just on my email, and I was like, "No, I just sorry, I was on my phone, and thank you for offering." And
that's
I just
cool,
rolled
man.
the window up and I
cool.
drove off. But we just don't do that, and they do that in the South, and I think it's something that's like a lost thing that we don't have in our culture that needs to come back, or that we can even bring back.
A lot
just
of us
offered to help
guilty of
people.
that. And I think that goes back to just being present. I mean,
I'm a big horn guy.
there's
Got somewhere to be, man.
I'm a big horn guy. Sorry.
Well, what's funny is when you get honked at, how immediately mad you get.
Yeah.
Like if somebody honks at me, I don't even know. It's like reaction. I'm suddenly pissed.
Yeah.
But there's this guy, Lonnie May. He's based out of Salt Lake City. He has a company called Red Shoes Living, and his whole mantra in life is live life like you're wearing red shoes. Meaning, like, just stand out. Like, go the extra mile to help somebody put their luggage in the overhead bin on a flight,
right.
or help somebody cross the street, or open the door and be respectful, be a gentleman. Like, there's these little nuanced things where none of us are really that important.
Yeah.
Where you don't have an extra second to just take time to help somebody else out or do the kind thing.
And it's rewarding. It's rewarding.
It is. I mean, it's kind of almost like a self-serving, kind thing to do. Like both sides win.
Yeah, that's super good. I love that. I want to read that book. That's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. He's a great guy.
It's very cool.
You have to wear red shoes, though. You got to wear red shoes.
I don't have any red shoes.
I don't think any of us do, but I'm going to get a pair.
You want to stand out.
Oh, yeah.
Any shout outs other than your dad?
Shout out to our beautiful families, I think, and all the people that we work with, all of our clients. We're so blessed to work with great people. Shout out to you with all your success.
Thanks, man.
It's so great to see you, flourish, and not just flourish, but taking on a steroid. So we're really, really proud of all the success you've had. And, Brant and I are just following you and being your biggest fan. So congrats to you, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Have to give a shout out to little Carter. I'd be remiss if I didn't. And in trouble. But
go Carter,
my
go
family.
Carter.
We really are blessed. We do constantly try to live in gratitude.
That's cool.
And just appreciate where we're at today.
That's awesome, man.
But we definitely appreciate you. As Bryce said, congrats on this. The studio's awesome.
Thank you.
You and your team are awesome. And
Ryan's awesome. Shout out to Ryan.
Absolutely.
Ryan, fantastic job, buddy.
Yes.
Thanks,
making it
Ryan.
happen. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. And everyone just keep watching. Also follow these guys. How do we find you if someone wants to find you?
The Aberg Group.
Online?
Online.
The Aberg Group, yep. Cushman Wakefield.
If you want an industrial building, someone that wants to buy one, lease one, what else?
If you want just advice on life, ask Brant. But yeah, I mean, we're here to help. So
awesome. Yeah, go follow them. Go check these guys out. Comment below. Let us know what you like, and we'll see you on the next podcast. Peace out. Adios.
The $1 Million Mortgage Experience Podcast.